Well, hello, Kate.
Hello, Mike.
So excited to introduce Kate, one of our link leaders, coaches, and mentors that's available to anybody that's part of our link leaders community. And just excited to have you part of it. And it's been such a pleasure getting to know you and learn about your background. And your background is pretty extensive. So I'm going to get out of the way and let you kind of introduce yourself and a little bit about your background and kind of maybe what brought you to Link Leaders, and then we'll talk about kind of some experiences you've had with mentorship.
Fantastic. So, I've been in education for 30 years, and that has taken me from rural Michigan to inner city Chicago to affluent suburb in North Shore Chicago. So in the States, I have worked with various populations from everything from grade 1 to grade 7 science, right? Um, I also have a very interesting background with international school education. So I've taught in China, Tanzania, Thailand, and Cambodia.
Wow.
And that has taken me all the way from 2-year-olds to ninth grade service learning.
Wow. Yeah.
Taught everything in between. So I love teaching. And after having 20, 25 years of experience, I was like, I got to give back to teachers because teachers were coming to my classroom saying, how do I do this? How do you do this? So I've had this coaching, mentoring role for a long time unofficially,
Yeah.
right? As well, about around 2010, I started acquiring different ways that I could facilitate workshops. So I did First Steps training, which is an Australian curriculum, no longer exists. But I did a train the trainer in Hong Kong for First Steps. Then I became an IB workshop leader. So I travel all over Asia Pacific, leading and managing teams, uh, leading an IB education, head of school workshop, curriculum coordinator workshop, as well as the basics like teaching with concepts. And
Were you in
I,
IB schools in the States, or did you just start in IB once you started doing international schoolwork?
yeah, my first IB school was in Tanzania in 2002 when the IB was very young. So I've been with the IB for 20, 25 years, 23 years, but I have not been in an IB school in the US.
Okay.
Yeah. So around that same time, I helped to start a NGO. It's called Compass Education. And I even always have a compass nearby. This is the compass. And
Did a
it's
curriculum?
looking at it's no, it's a tool, and there are several, but we want to get Compass into the hands of a million teachers. It's about sustainable habits of mind. And whatever curriculum you're teaching, whatever you're doing, looking through the lens of the Compass, which has systems thinking built in, can help you deepen the learning. So N is nature, E is economy, S is society, W is well-being. And it's a great tool to break a complex situation into elements, then see the interconnected relationships, and then find the leverage point where you can drive the maximum impact for
Very
change.
cool. Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to
Cool.
spend more time on that. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your history of teaching and then coaching and mentoring kind of brought you to where you're at. You have tons of experience and not just in one place, so tons of experience in a lot of different environments. So you have a wealth of perspective and knowledge and experience on the ground, working with leaders, working with teachers, and here you are as one of our mentors at Link Leaders. So what a wonderful opportunity for people to connect with you. Let's get a flavor of kind of how you interact with if you're working with a whether it's a leader or a teacher, like can you give an example of maybe where where you worked with somebody either recently or somebody that's maybe just sticks out in your mind as a fairly recent example, and kind of what was the context of working with them, and what was your approach, and how you helped support them.
Sure. So in my bio, I'm just going to go back to the bio for a minute because I want to say I've been a assistant principal, a principal, a PYP coordinator, so that's curriculum coordinator, and a head of school. And I've been a head of school in two different schools. So that's the leadership
Yeah,
section. That's important for people to know because it's important to know I've been in your shoes.
yeah, absolutely.
And so recently, I have been working with leaders to help them when they are, I can think of three recent leaders. The first one was looking to move into from his home country to a international position. So the way I worked with that leader was talking through like what are the qualities you want in a school and how can we work on your resume, your interview, like practicing interviewing and really getting him ready to move from where he is to the next search. The second person is struggling in a school where she's realized that the school's vision and her vision have separated.
Mm, yeah,
And, can she lead in that school? Should she stay or should she go? Because when you realize it, um, I'm just going to make up a scenario because I don't want to give away confidentiality. But it's like if you were in a school that had valued play-based learning, and now the shift is toward very directive teaching, call and answer style. And that that would be hard for you as a leader to stand in front and say, we're going to go to this directive teaching. That's not the scenario, but
right. Yeah,
it gives you a flavor. So really dealing with what do I value? Who am I as a leader? And that conversation is really around asking questions and asking powerful questions and not coming with my own opinions, but really getting that person to make their own decisions, but being that supportive person on the side that can ask the questions that maybe, the client hasn't really realized that need to be asked or answered.
yeah.
And the third
Before we
person,
go to the third one, I just want to
yeah,
comment on that. Like, just having someone like you asking those questions is so empowering for the individual. You're not necessarily saying you should do this or this is the solution. It's
yeah,
helping them process,
yes,
really challenging information that if they didn't have you, it would just be spinning in their head, and and just be kind of immersed in the struggle, and you're helping them kind of tease out the struggle that's in their mind, right? And
yes.
just through the right question. So what a powerful experience that you're providing for them.
And it's so brilliant when somebody comes up with their own moment of realization.
As it should be. It should be them that come up with it, right?
Yeah,
They have to own it and
exactly.
make the hard decisions, right? Whether that's to stay or go, or to do something in between. And so good for you on the work that you're doing. And what about the third one?
The third one is an educator who has seen, some flaws in a specific system and really wants to do something different and make a bigger impact on education as a whole. So an educational innovator and really um what's my next step? Like how do I start this?
Yeah. And you are good at that. You are such, I mean, both as a, I don't know, I would say even like as a cheerleader, somebody that like for even me, like you've been so positive and supportive and affirming and also ask really good questions and things like that. So they're so lucky to have you in that context as well, because that can be a lonely journey and trying to figure that out, and to have someone like you that's there cheer them on, but also to guide them, in next steps and helping them think through those is super powerful.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Well, awesome. Kate, thank you for the introduction and for sharing a little bit of your story and how you work with some of these mentees and people that need your support. And each one of those are very different contexts, but I think that's the beauty of mentorship and coaching. It's being able to kind of meet them where they are
Yes,
and then ask the right questions and do the things that you do to kind of draw out, some direction and support for them, as opposed to just here's the playbook. That's not what mentorship is. It's really helping them find, their path, through conversation. And uh,
exactly.
yeah,
And we didn't really get into it, but the reason I've really come to this point is because I've had a lot of training. So I've trained in neuro-linguistic programming, I've trained in ICF coaching and neuro-linguistic processing. So yeah,
yeah. So you're not just winging it. You're not just coming from
exactly.
experience. You have the science behind it, and coupled with your vast amount of experience and all these different perspectives from states, U.S. based schools to international schools, and so what a gift for others that choose to connect with you through Link Leaders or outside of Link Leaders. So thank you
Yeah,
for sharing that part of it
thank
as
you.
well. Yeah. Awesome. Kate O'Connell, connect with her. She's amazing.